Ah. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jobin and me have come to talk to you about the answer key.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
The answer key was released last evening, and immediately a lot of YouTube teachers have gone live. There has been such an excitement. We took our time to analyze the question paper and to study the questions. And I hope this analysis will help you prepare really meaningfully for the next exam also. I'm sure that a lot of you have done really well. After the exam, like always, some people thought it is very difficult. Some people thought it is very easy. Some were happy, some were sad. You know, the immediate response after the exam may not be right. After some time, when you calm down, then only we'll understand what it really was. Well, like always, this was a moderate exam. I personally believe, Jobin, that there are no easy exams and difficult exams. If you study well, it is easy. If you don't study, it is difficult. But it is true that sometimes there are unexpected questions. That is true. Well, there were unexpected questions in this exam also. But luckily, Jobin, in our paper 2, almost like always, 60% of questions are from the encyclopedias.
Yes.
If you really, really study the encyclopedias, 60% are easy from there only. But there are some questions that I myself don't know. From every exam, I'm also learning. Because some 10% or 15% questions are challenging. Now, Jobin, everybody predicts cutoff. But we know that it is not really possible to predict cutoff because the result that will finally come is based on the total number of people who write and the standard of their writing. If more number of people write really well, then it will be difficult for you to pass.
Yes, yes.
If less number of people write well, you may pass. It's like that. So actually, I don't want to predict the cutoff or percentage. As you know, it is somewhere in the beginning of 60s. Maybe 61, 62, 63, 64. Like that, slight differences will be there, and it's percentile. I don't really want to go into that area. I only want to really look at the questions from paper 2 and what kind of questions really came, how to prepare, help you prepare for the next exam. I suppose in paper 1 also, we can give you the same kind of understanding.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
over to you, Jobin. Please talk to us about paper 1 first.
Yes. Paper 1, as like when the exam was over, the students or like our students were telling that the exam was a little bit easy, like an easy category. So like I suddenly thought that, like as ma'am said, like we don't want to categorize as easy or hard. Like when you study, it is easy. So most of the questions from maths and like when the answer key came, and then when I analyzed through the like questions and all, I found out one thing that this time the data interpretation and maths questions were somewhat easy. Easy means like somewhat like we have practiced all those questions in our classrooms and also in the YouTube live sessions. So that benefited our students and also our YouTube babies to like easily like attempt the questions at the first sight, and then they got the answers also. So from the paper 1 perspective, it was a moderate paper this time, and also like surprisingly they have asked some of the like new questions, like they have added new areas in the paper 1 parts in the new questions, and like short areas also they have asked questions, and we have covered all those things. So from the teaching aptitude, when we start from teaching aptitude, there, like as we discussed in the question paper analysis, there were questions from the teaching method. That was a question on lecture method, and that the question was like when the lecture method will be used, or when can lecture method be used. So the answer given was also correct. Online learning, MOOC, SWAYAM, all those Moodle, all those things were asked. Learner interest in a subject was asked. So there is a question regarding learner interest. What is the correct sequence or correct order of the development of the learner interest in a subject. And then question regarding evaluation were there, and question regarding teacher factor or teaching, what is regarding teaching, a question was there. And in that, by my analyzing, in teaching aptitude, there can be a question be challenged in the development of interest in a subject by a learner is appropriate, like by the by the readings, and then by the searching of answers, or these things, all those like what evidences that we get is the first option go with situational interest triggered, and then comes with situational interest maintained, then emerging individual interest, and then last goes with the well-developed individual interest. So the following sequence in the development goes with the first one will be situational interest triggered. That is the, I think, when we think of the an interest regarding with the subject, obviously situational interest should be triggered first with the subject, not with the well-developed individual interest that come first. Like as NTA has option 1 as the correct one, ADBC. I think the answer can be challenged with option 4, that is BDCA, that is situational interest triggered, and then situational interest maintained, then emerging individual interest, and the last one goes with well-developed individual interest. So that is the one question from teaching aptitude in paper 1. I think it can be challenged in the teaching aptitude part. And coming to research aptitude, like all questions were familiar with us. Basically sampling. As the following question was there from sampling, and also there was a question called what do you call deliberate sampling? What is a other name of deliberate sampling? It was purposive sampling. Reference styles were asked. That means some reference styles were given, and the students were asked which one was not of the reference stylings. Then there was a question called informal experimental designs. Experimental designs, that means with the research design. What do you mean by informal research design? There were statements regarding informal research designs. Then there was a question regarding scientific method and all. So these like research aptitude where we have all those short areas, types of research, reference styling, sampling, and all. And communication, there were questions regarding with classroom communication, types of communication, like psychological barriers, types of communication. The question were very easy, like when you show thumbs up, what is the type of communication? Very easy. Theories of press. Okay, there was a question from theories of press, a new area where we have theories of press, and you should arrange the theories of press in the chronological order. There is a question. And skills, a question was there, like what type of skills is you are going for an interview, for an interview for a job and getting employed. And the answer is livelihood skills. So it's not, there was a confusion regarding students, like whether we should challenge or not, but the answer given by the NTA is correct there. And mathematical reasoning, questions regarding upstream, downstream, all those things, like what our students and our YouTube babies, like when you can check the YouTube lives, all those things, all those topics, I feel very happy that all those topics were discussed several times. Basically this upstream, downstream, number series, letter series, average, fourth proportion. Fourth proportion, actually the question seems to be somewhat tricky, but it is very easy. It is somewhat a question related with the series part only, fourth proportion. It's a question from the series part or pattern analysis. That's all. So mathematical reasoning, such a question was easy. Number series was easy. Letter series was easy. Coming to logical reasoning, Indian logic, you had question from Nyaya and Jaina philosophy. Western logic, informal fallacies, you had question. In the part of informal fallacies, there was a doubt that whether informal fallacies is hasty generalization or what. But the it talks about somewhat hasty generalization, but the answer given is weak analogy. It's weak analogy only because the statements are not completed. It is it is like what you call as the data is insufficient there. And type of arguments was asked, valid or invalid or false premises or true premises, that was asked. And a question regarding stipulative definitions. So definitions, they have didn't ask the PYQs and all, but we in the classrooms and we taught the definition types of definitions. So in that stipulative definitions was asked. Some statement level questions were asked in the stipulative definition. And data interpretation, this time it was the table was easy. This was a table asked, and from the table, like some average, percentages, ratio, and were asked to find out. Easy means this was easy to analyze, actually. The data was easy to interpret and analyze. But the calculations, it was time taking, but the students were able to do all those things, where they were able to attempt that, boosted their confidence. That what ICT, there were 4 questions regarding full forms. 4 of the questions came from the full form. SITE, STTPS, YMAX, and MVNO was 4 questions. And then the next question was computer security terms. So there was a match the following question regarding computer security terms, and then like you should match it. From higher education, you had ancient education and universities. Then values in education, you had a question regarding the patriotism of students and all. Functions of educational bodies like NAC, UGC, NIRF, and HEFA, and also was asked. And there was a question regarding National E-Governance Plan. When National E-Governance Plan was started, or like it was implemented in India? There was a question. It was in 2016. Correct answer is given by NT and also in the answer keys. And there is a question regarding people development environment in like sustainable city, which of the like cities given in the options which are named in sustainable cities. And there, I think there was an option called City Briga in Brazil. I don't remember the name. That is that is a sustainable city. All others are not. That is in Brazil, I think. Protocols were asked. That is in Paris Agreement were asked. That means the what is the temperature reducing was agreed in the Paris Agreement. That is 1.5 degrees Celsius. And there was a question regarding biodiversity, like benefits of biodiversity. So there was a confusion regarding the options and all, but India have given the correct answer only, like because we cannot challenge that. So that is a correct answer. And like this time, every time people development and environment, they will find a new topic. This time they had find out industrial disasters order. That means they have given like Bhopal gas tragedy, all those things. Industrial disasters happened, and then we should arrange that in the chronological order. So we should find like know which all years it is there. It's a new area where they have been started asking questions from there. Conditions for now, like air pollutants, it is also a familiar part. They like usually they ask questions. And a comprehension was given on the handicrafts. That was a basic analysis of paper 1 answer key that we have. As we say, it is paper 1, like it was a moderate, not a very easy one. Questions have the in-depth questions were there from logical reasoning. If you check from research aptitude and if you check from higher education, in-depth questions were there. As you revised greater, and like I analyze it like as the data interpretation and also maths, as they were easy, the students were able to develop the confidence, boost the confidence. So that's why the other questions also they were what they were doing great, and they did great only. So we'll hope for the best. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Jobin. That was very insightful.
Yes, thank
Now
you.
I will share my PPT with you based on paper 2. I have not taken up all the questions here. I have just analyzed from which areas, what kind of questions, how many questions have come, because it's really insightful to see. From British literature, as usual, British and Indian literature are kind of equal. British literature, 23 questions, Indian literature, 21 questions. Out of which there are simple questions and also very challenging questions. In Indian literature and literary theory also, what they do is they will ask authors who are not that famous or popular in our syllabi, advanced level theorists, and also from Indian literature, contemporary. You have to be really updated in your knowledge. That kind of general knowledge, if you have, you will be able to answer these two. That kind of questions are there in both these areas. So we have to focus on that. American literature, post-colonial literature were very few. But some of the questions from Indian literature and were mixed. Out of 4 options, one will be probably post-colonial or American. Like that, questions were there. World literature, that is European and Latin American, etc., only 1 from Pablo Neruda. Literary terms in general, 9 questions. Literary criticism, only 3. Literary theory, many more. And culture studies also, I saw only 2. But maybe some of the literary theory are culture studies. You can research methods, a combination of tough and difficult questions. Very easy questions and tough also. And also MLA handbook 2 questions were there. Linguistics and ELT only 3. It was actually not very balanced because some areas were more, some areas very less. Now, when we come to British literature, incidentally, there were no questions from medieval period. Chaucer, I didn't see any question. 16th century, we had 6 questions. From 16th century, 6 questions. From 17th century, I saw 2 questions. From 18th century, also 3 questions only. However, from Romantic and Victorian periods, there were 8 questions. Romantic and Victorian period together, 8 questions were there. 20th century, 4. Like I always say, the most important areas are 19th century and 20th century. From there, you get most questions in British literature. So after all that you study about Chaucer, very less. However, this time from Shakespeare alone, there were 4 questions. Chronology question was there. Quotation was there. So Shakespeare, sometimes they ask a lot. Sometimes 0 questions come from Shakespeare also. You can't really predict it because as I've told you before, people from many parts of India make questions and they are shuffled and questions are randomly picked and all. So it is possible that sometimes there is a lopsidedness in the questions. So that is why. This time, there were no questions from paper 2 that we have to challenge. They seem to have done a good job because we didn't see any mistakes. All the questions that we saw are correct. And the 3 questions that were wrong, they have anyway dropped. So now we looked at the areas from which how many questions came, category. And then the type of questions. Statement type questions, 10 were there. Author work questions, 22. In these author work questions, many were match the following type. And in match the following type, at least 2 were there that were very important and famous. So for me also, the other 2 were difficult. But if you know 1 or 2, you will be able to answer. That kind of questions were there. That means it is not that difficult. It is moderate or easy only. Anna Arendt, Bruno Latour, for example, these are theorists whom we don't study very much in MA, but they have asked about them already in NET. So if you look at this kind of questions that they ask, you will be able to guess it. And in literary theory, there were author work questions and conceptual questions also, statement type questions also. From eco-criticism, there were 2 questions. From the other theories, Lang, Parole, 1 question, structuralism, post-colonialism, 1 question, and then advanced theory, 1 or 2 questions like that. From chronology, there were 13 questions, out of which 15 were there, 2 were dropped also. Without chronology, thus year, 2 they asked. Quotations, 8 were there. Many quotes were from books to check whether you have read the book. Movements, genres, literary terms, that kind of questions were there. Movements and genres, only 2. But literary terms questions were also there. Literary terms questions, some were easy, but they were also asking about antonomasia, then antiphrasis, then apocrypha. Apocrypha and all I teach. I counted on from the question paper, 60 out of 100 questions. If you count, that is 60%. We counted, they are directly from encyclopedia. If you study encyclopedia, you'll get it. And also, it is very, very important that you have a mastery over English language. Because many times, the statement type questions, comprehension questions, these are, and also even codes. If you have command over English, you will be able to guess what it is. Statement type questions, you will lose if you cannot understand English most of the time, because understand matlab very deeply. I am really worried about people who prepare English literature in Hindi medium. I think it is defeating your own purpose. Apne pair pe kyun kuladi maar rahe ho? Because in the exam, many questions are easy. Only if you know English, you will pass. Like that, questions are there many. So you should be practicing with English questions a lot. You should be reading English literary theory, statement type and all, many are easy questions. Only if you have command over the language, not even the subject, you will be able to know. So those questions are there. So I think you should study in English. English literature should not be studied in Hindi or Malayalam or any other subject. I'm militantly against it because it is defeating the purpose. Now, there were 3 dropped questions because there were mistakes. The first one, who is the critic associated with the term blue humanities? Hannah Arendt talks about power politics. Stephen Hertz is, as far as I know, our team was also checking, he's a baseball player. Thomas Cole and Nathan Carlin are famous medical humanities people. So blue humanities guy is not even there. Options are wrong. Arrange the following chronology order. You know, the 2 questions were their chronological questions. Both had wrong options. Orientalism, 1978. Black Skin, White Masks is 1952, as you all might know. Masks of Conquest is 1989. Wretched of the Earth, 1961. Can the Subaltern Speakers, 1980. This is very easy. Everybody should know these years. Very easy. But the options are not there, so it is wrong. Nation and Narration also similarly, 1990, 1981, Dialogic Imagination. Even if you know a couple of these, for example, Anthropology and the Colonial Encounter is not famous. You may not know it. But even if you know some of these, you will be able to write the answer. It is like that. So that brings us to the end of this discussion. I am very happy with the questions. For people who study a little thoroughly, you know, it is not, there is no need to memorize everything so much. You need general knowledge most of the time, as I'm telling all the students. You need command over English language, and you need to know the basics. You know, some areas, some authors, some terms, some books are very important. So in our course, which is now running, we give very simple explanations. And throughout the history of English literature, everything is covered, because it is suicidal not to study in depth. Because many times you come very close to passing and then lose because you take shortcuts. Do not believe anybody who gives you shortcuts, because this exam is anti-shortcut exam. You have to study the subject thoroughly. That will be a proper foundation for your entire career. Do not lose the opportunity to study the subject thoroughly. You should do that. And also study in a simple manner, like I teach, because you have to understand very clearly. Only then you will be able to answer. So wish you all the best. You can join our course if you wish. Our number is 93878-39871, or you can just Google Valath. There is no question to contest, so no headache, I think, from paper 2. Thank you very much. See you all later in the other coaching for other exams, and also in the course if you join our course.